Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to Edupedia, your one-stop solution for all your economics queries. The topic that we are going to discuss today, it's a series of topics that we'll be discussing. It's basically the consumption function, and later on we will continue with different versions of the consumption function. And today we have the topic of Keynesian consumption function. But let me just tell you a very brief intro about consumption function. What is a consumption function? Consumption function basically depicts that our consumption depends upon something. Definitely this is true. Our consumption basically depends upon what? It depends upon income. Y is for income, C is consumption, F is the function. We denote this. That consumption is the function of income. How? Because whatever our income is, we consume according to that. That's why this relation holds true. Right? If my income will increase, my consumption will definitely increase. If my income will decrease, then consumption will decrease simultaneously, right? So it goes like this. So that is consumption function. And consumption has various other terms that we need to study in it. One is MPC, then MPS. Not MPS, saving part. MPS is saving part, but we will not discuss this today. We will focus on this. And then we have APC also. What is MPC? MPC is marginal propensity to consume. That is change. Marginal word means change in economics. Okay. So it measures the change in what? In consumption. This is MPC. And the formula for MPC is delta C upon delta Y. This means change in consumption due to change in income. So that is MPC. And this change can be positive, negative, both ways. Okay. Then second thing is APC. Now what is APC? It is the average propensity to consume. That is on an average how my consumption will react. And the formula for APC is C upon Y. That is consumption, the level that we are talking about at that point, and then divided by income. So that is APC and MPC. These are very important terms. Okay, so this was about consumption function. Now let's quickly start with the Keynesian consumption function. What does Keynes say? We all know Keynes, J.M. Keynes is his full name, that is John Maynard Keynes is the full name. And he's an English economist, a very famous economist, I must say. In economics, he's a very famous economist. He gave this consumption function on this particular topic, so we'll be discussing about that. Now, what happened in 1936? Keynes wrote a book called as the General Theory, and in that book he gave this consumption function. He gave his theory of consumption, basically you can say, and his theory was basically based on that there are certain factors that affect our consumption. Some are objective factors and some are subjective factors. So we will discuss subjective and objective factors in the end. But there are some factors that affect consumption. I think we all agree to this, right? So those factors really affect the consumption. But according to Keynes, the most important factor is the current level of income. According to Keynes, this is the most important factor that affects our consumption. And if we talk about current level of income, basically in this particularly he is talking about the absolute term. Absolute current level of income. Now what does absolute mean? Absolute mean fixed. That is some fixed current level of income is what determines my consumption. Okay, so basically consumption depends upon fixed or absolute current level of income according to Keynes. So that is why his theory is also called as absolute consumption function or absolute theory of consumption. Right, so this was basic introduction that I told you. Now what does his law says? What does he says about consumption function, or what does his theory says about the consumption function? He says that as income increases, consumption will also increase. Right? We all agree to that. We know that as income increase, my consumption will definitely increase. That means when consumption will increase. Why? Because income has increased. So this is basic relation, but he said that the increase or the proportion of increase will not be the same. What does this mean? That the proportion of income will or change will not be the same. This means that, for example, let's understand this. My income for a month, let's say, is 200 rupees. Okay, and at this 200 level, this is my income, and the consumption at this particular point is, say, for example, I am consuming 100, means half of my income I am consuming here. Now let's say my income increased to 400. Okay, so there is an increase here. Okay, increase of income, that is doubled, almost doubled, but my consumption increased only to 150. Now this is what? The proportion is not same. Here what happened? It doubled. But here the change is not in terms of double. If it would have doubled, it should have been 200, right? But it is not 200. It should be 200 here if the same proportion needs to be there. But here the proportion is not same. So this is what he said, that when income will increase, consumption will increase, but it will not be in the same proportion. First point is this. Second point that he gave is that the value of MPC. Why we are talking about MPC? Because we are talking about consumption, and if we will talk about consumption, MPC and APC, both the concepts will definitely be in the picture, right? So MPC he talked about. This is, can we calculate the MPC here? It's very simple. So what will be the MPC here? Delta C upon delta Y. So delta C is change is 50 only, change. Delta C is change. And the change in income is 200. So this is what we get, 1 by 4, that is equal to 0.25, right? So this is my MPC. So he says that the value of MPC will always lie between, it will be greater than 0, but it will be less than 1. What does this equation means? This means when there will be change in income, there will definitely be some change in consumption. This point depicts this. This point depicts that when there will be change in income, or there will be increase in income or decrease in income, there will be a definite change. 0 means no change, right? 1 means complete change. So that will not happen. He says that if it is this point, then there will be an increase, but not a proportionate increase. 1 means that my entire income I am just changing to the consumption. Okay, but this will not happen. So this is the second point that he gave. The value will be between this. Okay. One more point that he gave, I'll write it here because I want that all the 3 points should be here so that we can recall it. Okay. The third point is regarding APC. He says APC has an inverse relation with income. Okay. That is, APC will fall when income rises. Let's see this also. How does this happen? Now let's calculate APC here. I am taking this point. Let me just take a pen and change the color. We are taking this point. Okay. We are considering this point because APC is what? It is the C upon Y. So let's calculate APC. First I am talking about this, and then I'll show you both the ways. See, it is C upon Y, that is 200, sorry, consumption is 100 only, 100 upon 200, right? It is there. And in case of the second point, this one, what is C? 150 upon 400. So you can calculate the values here. It will be around 0.5 and it will be 0.6 something, 0.4 something, I guess, right? Huh. 0.4 something. It will be coming around 0.4. So what is there? Income increased, my APC is falling. So these are the 3 relations that Keynes give. He depicts these 3 points in his consumption function that this will happen. First is same proportion, no. The change will not be in the same proportion. Second thing is the value of MPC. It will be greater than 0 but less than 1. Means entire cannot happen. Okay, because we save something, right? This is our, we can say that this is our human nature, that whenever, whatever we have as our income, we save something out of it. That's why this equation cannot be equal to 1. That is a major reason. And thirdly is that APC and income have inverse relation. So these are the 3 things that he first discussed, and this is called as the Keynes psychological law of consumption. This term is called as Keynes psychological law of consumption. Okay. So these are the 3 important features that we discussed. Now I want to tell you one more point. That is the viewpoint of the other economist. Other, I am saying, that means not Keynesians. I am talking about the classicals. There were, various, you can say, stages, or you can say that various kinds or various levels of economists in economics theory. Everybody had their own viewpoints. First came the classicals. Will not go very deep into it. If you want, I'll make a complete video on that. Just let me know in the comment section if you want me to make a video on that particular topic. We'll discuss about classicals, Keynesians, post-Keynesians, everything. Okay. Now, important feature, one very important feature that we need to discuss here. One is that Keynes said that the most important factor that affects the consumption is the current level of income. That is, whatever my current level of income. If I'm talking about this month, whatever my income is in this month, that I'm talking about. That is the current level of income is most important determinant or factor of consumption. This he said. But there were some other economists known as the classicals. They said that no, this is not the most important determinant. The most important determinants according to them is the rate of interest. How? Rate of interest do affect the consumption. How? I'll let you know. Rate of interest according to classicals is the most important factor. How they were saying that rate of interest? Because according to them, what happens is, see, I have some income. Out of that income, what I do, I either consume and spend, both the things, right? C plus S, we know that income is equals to savings and consumption, because we save some part and consume some part. So he said that when rate of interest is very good, means it is increasing, let's say. So the saving part will increase, so definitely consumption will fall. This is according to the classicals. I repeat what they said, that rate of interest is a very important factor according to them that affects the consumption. They say that when rate of interest increases, then the savings will increase, because bank is giving me a very good amount of interest. So the rate of interest increase, saving increase, consumption automatically decrease, because my income is fixed, as I said in the first part, right? So this is according to them. This is true, he said. But the most important according to him is the current level of income, because this is the factor that exactly, or you can say directly affects. This is an indirect factor, that first saving will affect it and then consumption. But this income level definitely affects the consumption directly. So this was what they said, and according to this point, if we consider, this was considered as a very important, you can say, transformation, or very important point, or very important theory that he gave for the macroeconomics. So this was considered very important. So this was about Keynesian consumption function that we told today. But I told you in the beginning that we'll be talking about some subjective and objective factors that affect the consumption. Let's discuss that also. Quickly, it will take hardly 2 minutes. We can finish that up. We are making brief videos so that you can just go through it and you are clear with the entire concept. You need not, go for that lengthy procedures. We are trying to keep it short and crispy, and secondly, the most important is complete. Yeah, so I was talking about some factors. So first is the subjective and the objective factors. First we'll talk about subjective factors. Subjective factors are those factors which induce a person to save more. Okay, which induce me to save more. Why we save? For some unforeseen contingencies, right? It can be any medical thing can happen or something, right? So for unforeseen contingencies, first thing. Second, for some scene related issues, like for some, you can say that expected upcoming events like marriage of a child, education, we do save for that, right? So if this thing will increase, we keep these things in mind. Other points are also there. So definitely what will happen? My consumption will decrease, saving will increase. Then for speculative purpose, we also save. Some people are there, many are there, I would say. Nowadays we are investing in a lot of things, right? So speculative things also I'm talking about. So speculative purpose, we are saving for that. Then businessman, why do they save? For expansion, for opening up or for expansion purposes. Then they save for paying dividend, right? So these are the points that are related to subjective factors, right? Then comes the objective factors. Let's discuss that, but before that let me recall that. First is unforeseen contingencies. Marriage or education means for some scene or some events that are predictable, okay? Then speculative purposes, for expansion, for paying dividends, right? So for all these factors. Then comes the objective factors. Both the factors are very important. One more factor is there in this subjective factor, that is the demonstration effect. Are you all aware about demonstration effect? If not, then let me tell you what is demonstration effect. Demonstration effect is something like that. For example, I saw something, consuming something, and seeing that I also want to have that same thing. So that is demonstration effect. Means we saw something and then someone doing that and I want to do that. So we are just looking at someone and copying it. So because of that, what will happen to the consumption? I want your answer in the comment section. If I follow demonstration effect, what will be the effect on my consumption? Okay, so this is your question for today's session. If demonstration effect is there, then what will happen to the consumption? Okay, let's talk about objective factors. Coming back to the topic. Okay, so objective factors, first is general price level. If the general price level increases, if it increases, the price level generally increases, then what will happen? The purchasing power or the income that I have, that is stable, but the purchasing power will decrease. So ultimately my consumption will decrease. How will it happen? For example, I have 100 rupees, okay, and in this 100 rupees I can buy 1 kg of apples. Now what happened? Price increased of apples to rupees 200. Okay, now I have 100 rupees only with me. The main income is 100 rupees. I cannot spend more than this. But the price increased. Will I be able to purchase 1 kg now? No, I will not be able to. I will be able to purchase only a half a kg. Right? So this is the general price level. Okay. Second is something like unequal distribution. Unequal distribution of income. If the distribution of income is more unequal, more will be the inequality, lesser will be the consumption, because you can say that the population of middle level and the poor people in our country is very high, right? So definitely our consumption will decrease. And we all know that poor people consume more, rich people spend more on luxuries, not on these things, right? So not even that, they try to save more or they try to invest more. Okay. Then third point is fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is what? It is the policy of government of revenue and taxation. So if taxes will increase, my consumption will decrease. Okay. This is very common thing that we know. Then monetary policy. How monetary policy will affect? that is the liberty. Okay, we are talking about how liberal the banks are in lending or in providing credit to us. If they are more liberal, then definitely our consumption will increase, or vice versa. Okay, so this was objective factor. Now one thing I want to discuss with you, the very important thing that I want to keep it for the end, that is the equation for consumption function. What does Keynes say? According to Keynes, consumption is equal to A plus B y D. Now what is this? This is, I told you that this is consumption. He said our consumption is a function of A plus B by D. Now what is A? You will say, ma'am, what is A? A is the intercept term. What is that? It denotes autonomous consumption. What is autonomous consumption? It is the level of consumption that does not depend upon the level of income. There is some or the other part of our consumption that is independent, that does not depend upon anything. Why? Because we need to consume something to survive, right? So this is A, that is autonomous consumption. Then what is B? B is the slope. Now what is the slope? That is MPC. MPC is the slope because it measures change. So slope measures the change, right? So MPC. And then what is YD? YD is the disposable income. Disposable income means the income that is left with us after paying the taxes. Okay, so that is the disposable income. According to Keynes, my consumption will depend upon some intercept term, that is the autonomous consumption, that does not depend on anything. Then the slope, that is the change that I want to take into account, and then disposable income. I hope this is clear to you. How it is, I'll just explain you this term. BYD. Now what does this mean? That the change that I want, for example, my income changed by some amount, say 100 rupees. So out of that 100, how much I want to change? I want to take it into consumption. This depicts this thing. That is, if for example, my MPC is 0.5. Okay, so B is 0.5 into my disposable income. I said 100 is my income total. So after paying taxes, it is only 80. So this is. Okay. Now, I want to tell you just the last point. We are on the last point of this video. One thing that we need to notice is, I said that Y is equals to C plus S. That means this part of S, we are not doing anything. We are not spending. Our demand is less than the supply. That means, right? Because we are not spending the entire our income on consumption, or we are not spending it properly or completely, I must say, right? So what will happen? In this case, we will not be on the full employment level, right? We will fall short of the full employment level. Now how to curve it? So Keynes said, in order to curve it, in order to correct it, what you need to do? You need to increase the investment. So when savings will take the shape of investment, then only it will be possible for us to reach the full employment level. See, it's simple, it's very simple. If saving becomes investment, then that part is again part of the income, now that again coming into the circle. So that means we are using C and investment together. Okay, so this was about the Keynesian consumption function. I hope you liked our video. Please subscribe to our channel Edupedia, and also follow us on Instagram for all the updates. And hope you like it. Like and share. Please like and share it. And also I have asked you one question. Don't forget to answer in the comment section. Thank you.